Because the process of healing may be ugly, but when you actually allow yourself to go through the ugliness of uprooting, of exposing, of confronting all of those things, you become the most beautiful version of you. And that version of you is waiting for you on the other side of where you are right now. So, before we get into the conversation around healing from a traumatic event, I think it's important that we define what a traumatic event is. We've all heard and used the word trauma to describe different moments in our lives or different experiences that we have, but I don't think we fully understand what a traumatic event is. And so, y'all know I love to teach. And so, we're going to break it down so that you can have a clearer understanding of what it is that we're healing from, or you can kind of use the definition to associate with different parts of your journey that may have caused trauma for you, which will help in your healing journey. So, let's define a traumatic event. A traumatic event is an incident that causes physical, emotional, or psychological distress, threatening a person's sense of safety and stability. These events can be a one time occurrence, such as a car crash or assault, or ongoing, like abuse or serious illness. Examples include natural disasters, war, violence, serious accidents, or even witnessing a death. Okay? Um, so now that we understand what a traumatic event is, let's start breaking down the different ways that we can heal from these traumatic events. Now, everyone's healing journey is different. And so, how you approach healing is going to look different than how I approach healing. It's going to look different than how someone you know has approached healing. Everyone's healing journey is tailor made to who they are, to what they've experienced. And so the information that I'm giving in this video, just something to start you on your journey. So let's get into it. The first thing that you need to do when you are healing from a traumatic event is find safety. Finding safety is what is going to allow you to even begin your healing. Okay. You cannot heal if you are still surrounded, not heal fully, if you are still surrounded by the people, the places, the things that caused you the trauma to begin with. If you don't create distance or separate yourself or remove yourself from the things that caused you the pain, you're going to be reliving the pain over and over again, reliving the incident over and over again. And so the first step to healing is really finding safety. Safety is going to look different for everyone. It could be a completely new environment. So removing yourself from the environment that caused you trauma, or the space that you had or experienced the traumatic event in. Or safety could be your support system. So maybe you were going through something and you didn't have a support system before. Creating safety so that you can heal may look like finding people that you can trust, finding people who love you, and allowing them to support you, allowing them to pray you through what you're experiencing. And support you in your healing journey as you walk out the next few steps that we're going to unpack. So the first step to healing is finding safety. Once you find safety, you can begin your healing journey. The first thing you're going to do is honor. Okay. Now, I did this as an acronym because I find that with this, it makes it a lot easier for you to remember these steps, and it doesn't make it so overwhelming. And so the first letter is H. We're going to honor the space that we are in. Okay. The space that you're in is recovery. You're in a recovery space. And so anybody who has been through recovery before, whether you've gone through a surgery or you've experienced loss or grief or anything like that, you know that recovery takes grace. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is honor the space that you're in by extending yourself grace. Stop beating yourself up for what happened. What happened to you, what you experienced, is not your fault. And so honoring the space that you're in means giving yourself space to feel all the things that are attached to where you are in your journey. It may be anger, it may be sadness, it may be grief, it may be joy that you got out. Whatever the feelings are attached to where you are right now, honoring your space of healing, and honoring where you are in your journey means feeling all the feels that are attached to what you experienced. Um, and this is where that safety piece comes in, because you won't allow yourself to really feel all the feels, and feel them with honesty and feel them without guilt, if you do not feel safe. And the right people, having the right people around you, is going to make it so that they give you room to feel what you're feeling. They give you room to express how you're feeling without judgment, with love, and can remind you of who you are. Because oftentimes when we experience traumatic events, we get stuck in this loop of what happened to us. And so surrounding yourself with safe people can help pull you out of those loops and remind you of who you are, remind you of where you're going, and remind you that what you experienced is not who you are. And so honoring the space that you're in, um, it's important to not avoid your feelings, but feel them. Allow yourself to feel them. And for some of you, journaling is something that could really help you. Honoring the feelings, or even unpacking the feelings, because one of the things that I've learned with our feelings is that they are layered. And so you may feel anger, but underneath anger, if you dissect the anger, you'll realize that the root of it is sadness, right? And so journaling really helps you to unpack and dissect the things that you're feeling, because our feelings sometimes could be deceptive. And so it's really important as you're healing to give yourself room to feel what you're feeling, pausing, acknowledging the feeling, and then going through this process of dissecting what it is that you're feeling so that you can understand the root of it. And again, having a support system around you as you're going through this is really going to help you. Um, Now, in this place of honoring where you are, which is recovery, it's important that you also implement self care, like heavy on the self care. If you have ever been in a hospital, if you've ever been sick and you're going through that recovery process, you recognize that anyone who has been in recovery before, there is a level of care that those who are walking with you through the recovery, whether it's your doctors or your nurses, there's this gentility that they have with you as a patient. You now have to see yourself as a patient in recovery. So there's a gentility that you have to have with yourself, right? It's important that you're not beating yourself up for what you've experienced or what you've walked through. It's important that you're learning to let go of the guilt that you may be carrying because of what you have experienced before. Honoring the space that you're in is simply acknowledging, okay, I went through this. This is where I am. And this is what this space looks like for me now. Okay. One of the ways that you can honor um, the space that you're in is giving yourself grace. I'm going to say it again. One of the ways that you can honor where you are in this space of recovery is giving yourself some grace. We give grace to people so easily. Even the people who bring or cause the traumatic events in our life, we're quick to make excuses for them. But when it comes to giving ourselves that same level of grace to say, you know what? You're hurting right now. You're angry right now. You're sad right now. What do you need? Is it a hug? Is it rest? Do you need to take a nap? That's honoring the space that you're in. Do I need to slow down? Oftentimes we ignore where we are. We ignore the fact that we're tired. We ignore the fact that we're hurting. We ignore the fact that we're in recovery, and we just keep going until there's nothing left of us. This journey of healing is about having a healthier relationship with yourself first, so that everything else in your life is healthy as well. Okay. So part of honoring this space and honoring your healing and healing itself is giving yourself grace, giving yourself that hug that you might need from, you may think you need somebody else to hug you, but the reality is you need to hug you. So give yourself some grace. The next thing that you can do to honor the space that you're in is focus on yourself. I know that may be difficult, especially if you have children or a family or whatever it is, whatever it may keep you from being able to make yourself the center. Now, you don't want to be self-centered, but you want to focus or give yourself space to be the focus for a second, right? You want to carve out space, whether it's time in your day that is specifically dedicated to you and what your needs are in that moment. Focusing on yourself uh, could be taking yourself for a walk. It could be taking a bath. It could be whatever way you create space for yourself. You know, if your friend calls you and say, "Girl, I need to talk to you for a second," and you make space for them, you stop whatever you're doing and you give them your full attention. That is the same energy that you need to give to yourself as you honor this healing journey that you have now begun. Make space for yourself. Now, while you are in this space of recovery, it's important that you remind yourself daily that you're in recovery. If you're anything like me, I fight. Not so much anymore, but I used to fight my recovery process. I would create busyness so that I would avoid the healing and avoid the things that I don't really want to pay attention to. I don't want to relive that because it's too painful or it's going to make me feel vulnerable. And so I would create busyness. And what would happen is I would find myself having these burnout moments where my body would just shut down. I would get sick or whatever the case may be. And I had to realize that when you've experienced something traumatic, whether it was ongoing trauma or or something that happened just once, but it left residue with you, you have to stop long enough to recognize that you need healing. And when you stop, you recognize, okay, wait a minute. Healing means that I gotta adjust my pace so that I can recover and get back to myself. And so a person like me who I like to be busy, I like to be busy. I love stillness now, but I used to be very busy all the time. If that's how you are, then you have to remind yourself every day. And this is part of giving yourself grace. Remind yourself every day that you're in recovery. Until you've reached that place of wholeness, until you've reached that place of healing, you have to remind yourself, I'm in recovery. That reminder every day is what's going to help you dictate your pace. That's the honor piece. I'm honoring that I am in recovery. So I can't move the way that I used to move because I'm recovering. If someone breaks their leg, they don't just start walking right away. There's a process that they go through, process of recovery, a process of exercising, physiotherapy, sometimes stillness. If someone is in a cast, they cannot move. Their leg has to be elevated at all times. They're sitting down. Sometimes they'll get so bored and have cabin fever because they are in this place of stillness for so long. But that's how you honor the recovery process, right? You honor it by being still. And again, it's different for everyone. But you have to remind yourself I'm in recovery. Okay. Now, the next step to healing is expose the wound. Expose the wound. Talk about what you've experienced. Put a name to the feelings. Get a therapist. Find a friend. Now, this is sometimes one of the most hardest part of the journey is talking about what you've gone through. One of the things that I teach in my book, Lessons of a Love Addict, while we're walking through the healing journey, is that exposure brings healing. Have you ever cut your finger or while you're cooking or cutting something and you wrap it in a band aid? There comes a time in the healing process of that wound where you have to expose it to oxygen. So you have to take the band aid off and allow for the cut to breathe. This is the same with our emotional wounds. We have to expose the wound. We have to talk about it. We have to share it. We can't hoard the feelings that are attached to it and the things that we've gone through. When someone asks you, how are you doing today? Or are you okay? You're saying, yeah, 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 I'm good. But you're hurting inside because you don't want to talk about, you don't want to expose what it is that you've went through. That's not healthy. And again, this is where your support system comes from. This or comes in. This is where surrounding yourself with safety comes in. If you don't have people in your immediate circle that you can trust, there are places that you can go, people that you can speak to that will give you that sense of safety so that you can expose the wounds that you've been carrying. Because until you get to this place where you can expose what you've been through, where you can talk about it, where you can write about it, where you can share that you're hurting, you won't get the healing that you so deserve. And so expose the wound. The next thing you need to do is allow. Oftentimes when we experience traumatic events, we shut down. We close off to receiving love. We close ourselves off to healing. We close ourselves off from community. We close ourselves off from experiencing things that can bring us joy because we're sad, we're hurting. And so once you've honored the space of healing, of recovery, once you've exposed the wound, the next thing you need to do is get yourself to a place where you can allow for yourself to heal, allow for yourself to receive love, allow for yourself to experience joy again because you deserve it. Sometimes what you have to allow is allow for the let go. Like, let go of what the experience brought into your life. You will never forget the experience and the traumatic event that you walked through or that you experienced, but you can let go of the pain that it brought into your life. You can let go of the dysfunction that it brought into your life. You can let go of the negative thinking that it brought into your life. You can let go of the fear that it brought into your life. But you have to allow yourself to let it go. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, it's okay to let it go. It's okay. Letting it go doesn't negate that it happened. Letting it go simply says, okay, I'm honoring and acknowledging that this happened to me, but it doesn't need to stay with me. Letting it go makes room for peace, for love, for recovery. So allow yourself to feel, to heal, to love, to receive love, even. Allow yourself to be, allow yourself to receive support. Because I'm going to say it again, you deserve it. Now, if you're tracking with me, you're going to know that the next letter is L. Love. Love. The key to healing is love. Loving yourself enough to say, I don't have to choose pain. I choose love. To love myself, to allow others to love me back to life. Love is water in the desert. It's light in the darkness. Love is the weapon of mass destruction that will break down the walls of pain that you've been holding up. But you have to let it in. And for some of you, it may be difficult. This one may be difficult. But you have to love the version of you that experienced the traumatic event. Depending on what your trauma was, or has been, or is, there may be shame attached to your journey. You may be the one attaching shame, or others may be attaching shame to you. But loving the version of you that experienced or is experiencing the trauma is what will allow you to heal. Loving the version of you that experienced the trauma is giving yourself grace. It's giving yourself what that version of you needed. Healing is about letting go, embracing the journey that you walked through, and finding peace. Even if things aren't perfect, even if things aren't where you want them to be, even if all the pieces aren't in place, it's finding peace right where you are, finding wholeness right where you are. But in order to do that, you have to honor the space that you're in. You have to expose what has been done or what is being done to you. You have to allow for yourself to let go and allow for yourself to receive love. But before you can do any of those things, you have to find safety. My prayer for you is that your safety is closer than you actually think. My prayer for you is that you allow yourself to heal. Because the process of healing may be ugly, but when you actually allow yourself to go through the ugliness of uprooting, of exposing, of confronting all of those things, you become the most beautiful version of you. And that version of you is waiting for you on the other side of where you are right now. And so I can only pray that this conversation and this space has given you what you need to start your journey. I can only pray that this space and this conversation has helped you feel seen and feel loved. Because I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. You're deserving of it. You're deserving of meeting the whole and healed version of you. And so that's all the time that we have for today. I love y'all. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time. Bye. Love you.